Okay, so we're live right now, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, so it should be, let me just get the link here. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Tale at Your Own Risk, obviously, live college basketball show that I started doing this week. Very special guest right here. Before I do the intro, let me just copy the YouTube thing. We're doing this via StreamYard right now, and it's a little bit new for me, so let me just get this out on Twitter, and then we will start. Let me just hold on one second. Here we go. Okay, where the hell are we? 1 second. There we go. And now everything, this adds an extra layer of complexity, and hopefully this will be okay. Let's make sure that this is okay. Click on that and see if it brings you to it. There it is. Yeah. All right. Everything. All right. So I'm doing tech stuff and hosting stuff right here at the same time. This is more than I only started doing these shows on Tuesday. I'm jumping right in real fast. Maxwell Smart, thanks so much for doing this. I'm so excited. Anytime you're on the show with us, you said you wanted to go host tonight. I was ecstatic. We're doing all this stuff last minute with StreamYard. Everything seems to be working fine. We have comments already coming in. How you doing, Maxwell Smart? How are things going in general for you in college basketball right now?
Well, college basketball's not looking that good right now just because I am on the wrong side in this Gardner-Webb game. So
Really?
I tailed your two plays on the team total over in the second half and the over in the second half. So I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to ride your coattails into the black for this game.
Yeah, as you know, I suffer from a pretty severe case of AIPP syndrome, which is all in on public plays syndrome. But because of having to do all the StreamYard stuff, I didn't have any time, which is actually part of the way that you can cope with this cognitively. I didn't have any time to freak out and overthink myself and overanalyze that. I just went straight to the numbers, did what the numbers said, and posted them on Twitter. And I like in this game, I like the over at 134 a decent amount, and I liked Kennesaw State plus 10 a little bit less, but slightly. I'm not surprised that they're winning here. I liked them plus 10 a little bit. Again, I didn't understand why they were such a huge underdog there. We'll see how it turns out. And I like the over a bit. Kennesaw State's second half team total was just 32, and my numbers said that was a don't question it, big size rated play, and I did it. Once again, for anyone who hasn't caught any of these shows yet, I'm just going to quickly go over what I do, how I grade my plays, and then we're going to talk to Maxwell Smart, get his open-ended opinions on college basketball until the second half lines come up for the 8 o'clock shows. I expected before the season started to have a modest edge on college basketball second half lines. I did it for a few weeks. It went as I expected, and I decided, all right, fine. I've done my due diligence, and I'll do a live show and give my plays out publicly, despite the fact that I suffer from AIPP syndrome, all in on public play syndrome, where if I give a public play, I feel as though I have gone all in with my entire net worth on that public play. I'm dealing with it. The show's gone well so far. I give my plays, and I grade them small, medium, big, and big, and I grade them accordingly. Small is 1 unit, medium small is 2, medium is 3, and big is 5, like that. And so that's how it is. So when I shout out my plays, I shout out what they are. I'll give a grade. The Kennesaw State game, again, the team total over was graded big, so that'll be a 5-unit play. The total over 71.5 was medium small. That was borderline. Could have been medium or medium small, and I decided to make it medium small, so that'll be 2 units. And that's the way it goes. In general, I expect myself to do better on team totals and on high-rated plays, obviously, highly rated money lines, and in general on spreads that are between 3 and positive 3. That's just my methodology seems to work best in those areas. So if you want to tail everything, go for it. If you want to know what I would recommend you most recommend you tail would be anything I say, big or medium big, team totals, and in general, spreads that are between plus and negative 3. All right, so let's see. Let's make sure everything is going okay. Okay. So see already, Maxwell Smart. What is this? Nami Sa spammer here?
Yeah, we got a troll already, and we gotta boot them. I think that you gotta block them. You're on the you're on the button there.
Yeah.
And
Nami Sa says Peter left Hello's toilet seat up. I did, but what does that have to do with this show? You're wasting our time here. No one cares that I left Hello's toilet seat up. Yes, I did it. That's just who cares? No one cares. Let's see what else. What else do we have? Okay, so let me try to block this here.
Yeah, no worries. And let me shout out some of the guys that are actually
Okay, yeah.
We got Walla Walla Dosa, we got Deer Slayer, we got Flipper 13, we got Fuzz Logic, we got 37 Scandler, who's on the Creighton first half team total over at 38, and now it's all the way at 40 and a half. I'm not thinking that you should go for a middle. Peter, what's your opinion on that?
I'm trying to block this Muppet here. I accidentally just made him a moderator for 2 seconds, but I don't think he did anything. Why don't you take care of the entire show while I try to figure out how the hell to deal with this guy?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Let me shout out Hustle Wilson, JC Alvarez, Pedro Filo, Brandon Cummings. And yeah, boys, obviously we got the main man, Peter Loshak, here for you, ready to go, pumping out winners already. And I think that we're going to be able to have a good show for you today. Hopefully I'll be able to fill up some time so Pete is able to hit the winners. Let me shout out guys that have just popped in: Real TC, Triggerman, Capper John, Cash Action Bets, Mela, Payla, Sway, Nate Dog 420. And yeah, guys, glad that you guys are able to come in here. Glad you guys are able to support Pete. And yeah, Pete's already put us on 2 really nice plays. If you didn't see them on Twitter already, the team total over in the second half for Kennesaw State, which was 32, and the over 71 or 71 and a half, depending on what you got in your book for the second half.
Yeah. I'm looking. I don't have the option to block someone. It says put user in timeout, hide user on this channel. I can do that. Remove.
Yeah, remove. Yeah, just remove. Yeah. There you go.
Okay, there we go. All right, I think we did it. All right, I think we did it. Yeah, my listen, first time viewers, my tech skills are not indicative of my college basketball second half lines handicapping skills. Please, I know people are saying like this guy just made this guy a moderator of his own YouTube channel for like 2 seconds, and now you're expecting me to tail his fucking college basketball second half opinions. I don't think so. But yes, I in totally different areas of expertise. All right, so what did you say, Maxwell Smart? Let's get to it again. Question you just asked me?
Oh, I was asking you, what do you think about the Creighton first half team total over? But it's already started.
The
games have already started.
Yeah, I said yesterday, I said that I like Colorado State, which was obviously wrong. We'll see how it goes. As we know, these line movements of college basketball, take them with a half grain of salt. And, I bet it 4.5. It's now up to 6.5. And I also said that I liked the Creighton game over, which obviously got bet up. I liked the Indiana team total over as well, and the first half team total over against Nebraska. I don't really trust Nebraska here. I think that the spot, it's a good spot for Indiana, according to my numbers, offensively and as far as the spread is concerned. And yeah, I definitely like the Creighton team total over and the first half team total over as well for Creighton. We'll see what those lines are at second half part of the show. All right, hold on a second. Go ahead.
With the Creighton team total over first half, I had to bet it, but I had to pay a shitload of juice. I had to pay minus 138 for it. It closed at minus 208 on Pinnacle. So yeah, saw where that got steamed up. And look at the score right now. It's only 8-5. 3 minutes in. So
all right, yeah, I was not born to be a tech guy, a moderator, and an NBA and an NHL, college basketball lines handicapper all at the same time. But I'm doing my best here to make sure that everything is going smoothly. Maxwell Smart, let me just ask you. I'll tell you quickly. Maxwell Smart, obviously a savant in college basketball, and I've said this. People who watch my videos, going back to day one, know that when it comes to people who really know what they're talking about, when it comes to a specific sport, I find their general opinions on teams or the state of the league or stuff like that long term to be far more valuable to me than any individual pick that they would ever give. When I was doing individual game previews with handicappers that I respected, I always cared a lot more what they had to say about the teams that we were handicapping in general than their opinion on the actual specific individual game that we were talking about. That's why I did so well when I was sitting next to Jimmy the Bag in NHL. Long term viewers know that I was so bad at NHL regular season I used to just pass every year. But then when I was sitting next to Jimmy the Bag, all of a sudden I was killing NHL, and the reason was because I was listening to him, not his individual plays on any given day, but his overall opinions on teams and the league going forward. And I would have those opinions in my head for weeks and months, and that's why I did so well for 2 years in NHL. Maxwell Smart, that's what I feel about you when it comes to college basketball. What are you thinking about college basketball right now? Open-ended question.
Well, I'm thinking that college basketball is definitely a lot different this year. I think that now we're seeing a move when it comes to talent, deciding whether or not college is the only option for them. I think that now with the G League option and now with overseas teams getting these guys that would normally be freshmen in NCAA Division I ranks, I think it's really changing the game, and it's actually going to benefit bettors. It's going to benefit people that follow mid-major schools. I think it's going to create more parity and more upsets of top-ranked teams, which we all know are only wearing that number because writers like them.
Right. Okay. So in the near future, one thing. Let me just try to remember. Right. I'm going to ignore the comments. I'm going to ignore possible tech issues. I'm going to ignore Twitter right now. One thing to take note of in college basketball. I'm sure that you know exactly what I'm talking about here. Maxwell Smart. Lots of teams, right? Lots of teams will have a certain ATS, trend in the non-conference part of the schedule, and then for various reasons, there are going to be lots of them make a stark reversal of form when conference play starts in January, either for the positive or the negative. You see that all the time in the major conferences, in the mid-majors. Are there any teams that have been doing well or poorly ATS so far in the season that you expect to change, in the next couple weeks or when conference play starts?
Yeah, I think that there's a bunch of teams that I expect to be worse than they have been within the non-conference season. I think that Campbell, they're definitely a candidate. I think that they've been a little better than we've expected, losing Chris Clemens, coming into the season and not really having too high expectations. They've definitely outperformed what the prognosticators thought. And I think that once they get into conference and they get a little bit of familiarity, I think they're going to come back down to earth.
Don't mean to cut you off, but, I was just concerned about, giving out Kennesaw State team total over at 32 as a big play with 6 minutes gone in the first half. They're already at 21 points, Maxwell Smart.
Damn straight, Peter. I'm watching the game right now. ESPN Plus, it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, that is a sight. You don't know how good that feels to a person who suffers from AIPP as I do. Thank the Lord. And why did I post that as a big play? Because I didn't have time to roast myself out of doing it. I didn't have time to sit there for like 90 seconds, be like, should I really give this out as a public play? What if it loses? What if I was like, fuck it. StreamYard, I'm overwhelmed here. There's going to be spammers talking about poop. Let me just put the play out. Kennesaw State, that's what the numbers say. Team total over 32, bam, and move on. And look what happened. No reason to chill out. No reason to freak out at all. All right, Maxwell Smart. Let's talk about some major conference teams. Obviously, like Maxwell Smart, of course, is the master of the smaller conference teams, which is where some of the big value, of course, can lie, and that's especially good for people who have a smaller bankroll size where limits aren't coming into play for them yet. But let's talk about some major conference teams. Are there any major conference teams that you think are in for a notable reversal of form in terms of ATS results coming up, positive or negative?
I think that Michigan State is going to have problems all season. I think that they have non-basketball issues within their personnel that are going to affect them. I think that Michigan State is going to be continued to be overvalued. And with betting becoming legal in America, we're going to have a ton more brand new noobs and novice bettors coming into the spectrum and influencing where these lines move. And I think that they're going to be instantly drawn to the teams that I think that are going to be on the down front.
Interesting. So you think Michigan State's going to be overvalued? Now, when I think of Michigan State, obviously we know what Tom Izzo does in tournaments. Michigan State is always the kind of team that I'm afraid of, betting against in any situation. I agree with you that Michigan State is the kind of team that I'm looking more to bet on in tournaments and games that really matter, and then maybe to bet against them, to look at them to be overvalued in games that are not quite as important as those games. So I would tend to agree with you there. Once again, my approach to college basketball basketball in general, and specifically this year, is much more numbers based and numbers oriented. People are like, Loshak, should I tail your plays? Do you know every single player on Kennesaw State and all these teams? My answer to that is definitely not. Maxwell Smart fucking does, though, which is unbelievable. So when he talks about Michigan State, I would tend to believe him. Any other teams that have caught your eye, Maxwell Smart, as teams that you may be looking for a reversal of form on?
Yeah, I think that when it comes to teams that I think that reversal of fortune, I think that you're going to see a team like Vanderbilt. You're going to see a team like Wake Forest. I think that Xavier's also in for a little bit of regression. I think that once Xavier gets to the conference season, I think that they're going to be able to win at home. But I think that this is one of the deepest Big Easts that I've ever seen in my life. And I think that they are going to have trouble when they go on the road, and that is going to damage their overall standing within the season.
Xavier.
Yeah.
But Xavier has not done well ATS so far. I mean, they've been winning games. They haven't been covering particularly. It's 3-7 I'm seeing right here.
Oh, you want good ATS ones that are going to go
down. We're looking for betting value here.
Sorry, I'm not looking at any ATS. I'm not looking at ATS games. I'm just thinking about teams that I want to avoid and like the plague.
I mean, again, for people who might not be familiar with who I am, if you're not betting on a game, I don't give a fuck about sports. You know what I mean? People couldn't care less of who Xavier wins or loses or anything. I'm looking for betting value here, Maxwell Smart. All right, I'm still confused also because I'm even more confused because it's so frustrating. Covers changed their format, so it's harder for me to get the information very quickly that I used to look at. Let's see. What else are you thinking about Maxwell Smart? What do you think of Gonzaga? Do you have anything to say about them this year? Gonzaga is always a very interesting team. For years and years and years, Gonzaga was notoriously, undervalued. People always considered them to be just a good mid-major team, not the elite team that they were. Then everyone started to realize that they were an elite team, but they were still, even when the cat was out of the bag about Gonzaga, they still wound up being a profitable team, despite the fact that they weren't under the radar anymore. And I actually know a lot of sharp guys, and you know who you are, who had their models going, had their spreadsheets going, saying bet against Gonzaga every game, and they lost all those games. Gonzaga was an ATS machine for a long time on their first half spreads. 35-point favorite against another, West Coast team, and they would cover first half and usually full game as well. What's shaking Gonzaga, Max?
I think that Gonzaga is going to be led by how good their offensive backcourt steps up. You have Edmond Gilder and Ryan Woolridge, who bring a lot of experience, but it's going to be a matter of what they can do when it comes to explosiveness. I think that they're going to be able to get through their conference. I think that they do have a couple tough non-conference games coming up, but I think that based on their schedule and based on level of competition, they're going to continue to make money for people that are betting. Okay. A team that I think that is going to come down, and I hate to say it, Peter, it's my UConn Huskies. 7-2 right now, ATS, and I don't believe that that's going to continue. I think that this is a Connecticut team that once they run into a lot of familiar opponents, familiar coaches, I think that they're going to actually come back down to earth.
Yeah, Connecticut, very interesting. I definitely bet Indiana on the second half in that last game. I do want to get as much of pick your brain as much as possible, but I want to give a few shout-outs first. Huge shout-out to OG Wham. Huge shout-out to Big Ragu, who says absolutely on MSU. He agrees with you there. And Ski Prophet says, great to see you, Peter Lojak. No, great to see you, Ski Prophet. Ski Prophet, you're kicking ass. Congratulations. Don't think I haven't noticed. Awesome. Ski Prophet was the winner of the Loshak in the Bag trivia contest, if anyone who remembers that. And look what he's done since then. Congratulations to you, Ski Prophet. Great to have you in the comment section. Shout out to OG Wham. Shout out to Big Ragu. Shout out to Bogey 34, Fripper 13, Jesse Nemeth, everyone. All right, let's get back to some more college basketball. This is just crazy. We got 25 minutes to go. We got 300 freaking college basketball teams. Covers changed their format, so I'm having a hard time looking at this. I don't even know what to ask you, where to start. Duke, do you want to talk about them? North Carolina, are they an interesting team? What do you think? Any of these teams? Kansas, you have a read on them?
Yeah, when it comes to Duke and North Carolina, Peter, we're talking about two teams that are in transition, trying to find consistency within their personnel, dealing with injuries, dealing with transfers in North Carolina, and Christian Keeling and Matt Pierce, who just have not performed well. And we can go up and down and look at some of these key transfers that came from mid-major schools up to Power 5 schools, and they just are not performing. There's a couple of them that are, but a lot of them that we anticipated performing well have not. One that has is Jihad Proctor and Purdue. Purdue is a team that you have to fear and have to respect. I think the game against Virginia highlighted a weakness of Virginia, but also stood out to show that Purdue's going to have some value. Purdue's going to be dominant on their home floor, and they're going to be sneaky when it comes to on the road in conference. I would be looking at Purdue anytime you can get a plus money price on them when it comes to the road and when it comes to conference play in the Big Ten.
Really? You're kind of high on Purdue. Okay, I might have to watch this show in replay because I'm looking at, I'm just want to make sure that, because I posted a link on Twitter, but, usually when I post a link, I know that people are seeing it because there's all these likes and stuff, but all the likes are for the other posts that I made, and I'm not sure. I just hope people saw this because I'm not seeing that many likes and stuff. I'm just not sure if people are seeing it, but whatever. We'll work this out. Later on. I might have to rewatch this video and take notes on the replay, Maxwell Smart. So you're kind of high on Purdue. You have anything to say about Michigan? Michigan, obviously a very interesting team. Obviously, they've got Juwan Howard as coach, and there's a lot of life to the program to start the season right now. They were killing it. ATS game after game for a couple of weeks, and then of course the big Illinois game on December 11th, where they opened as a road favorite. Clear sharp money came in on Illinois. The sharp money proved to be right. I myself was still skeptical of that money, but then at the halftime, I was like, all right, now I know what everyone's seeing. The sharp guys are seeing. I tweeted on a second half play on Illinois. What's your take on Michigan? They have a pro style offense. Howard's the coach. Very interesting team this year, right?
Yeah, they're real interesting. Obviously, I was a little shell-shocked by how good this team has performed early. I thought that maybe they would have a little bit of a growing curve and would be able to take advantage of some of these big numbers that they were laying, but it hasn't been the case except for the App State game. And I think that Michigan's for real. I think that I underestimated Juwan Howard, and I think that on the road, they're going to have problems. But at home, if they can score the basketball, get their tempo, you have an experienced point guard, Xavier Simpson. He is going to be the X factor for this team, in my opinion.
Yeah, because I was looking at this and I was thinking, a new coach putting in that offense, and your assumption is, all right, it's going to take at least a little bit of time to have it all gel, as they say. But it was quite the opposite. 2 top 10 wins outright in the Battle for Atlantis tournament. Right, impressive. Beat Gonzaga by 18, UNC by 10, and the question was just that it had to have been at least a little bit of an illusion. You think it might have been a big illusion, huh?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, and then, of course, they got blown out by Louisville, which is maybe more what we can expect. What's your take on Louisville? Louisville, also a very interesting team. Huge win that Louisville got over Michigan, and then, of course, they suffered that pretty big loss against TCU recently, where I stupidly gave them, I went against my numbers, and one of my losers in the first day of the show, the first show we did was Louisville second half -6 against TCU. That was a loser. Obviously, they're a vicious defensive team. What's your take on them? You think they're going to be overvalued? I have to assume so, right?
I think that all ACC teams you really got to take with a grain of salt. I think that this is not the strongest league. I think that the strongest leagues, in my opinion, so far are the Big 10 and Big 12, and then the Pac-12. Then I would say the ACC, which is very strange for me to say because I've been very anti-Pac-12 for a couple years now. But I do think that Louisville, with the pack line defense that Chris Mack empowers them to play, I think that's going to be the difference. The question is, what can they get scoring-wise from Samuel Williamson, from Darius Perry? These are guys that when I watched the game against Texas Tech, they were not making shots. There's too much pressure on Jordan Nwora, and if that's going to be your only outlet to get a bucket when you need one, well, Louisville's going to have losses again.
All right, so I want to give some shout-outs here to Paco Healy, Coco Bongo, failed at life 666 says, LOL, passive-aggressive way to ask for likes. What a pro Pete is. Look, yes, I am a pro. I am passive-aggressive. aggressive, but that's not what I was doing there, Failed for Life. I actually don't care about likes. I really just want to make sure that people, saw the link, because if they're not subscribing to my YouTube channel and they don't see the link, they're not going to see the show. That's what I was really concerned about, and I was really just worried that the activity on that one was indicating that the link wasn't getting out there. That's all that was there, but that was a very funny comment. Shout out to you.
Pete, just to interrupt you, but I believe Kennesaw State's at 32 points right now in the second half.
No way. Really? So it's still so it's still not officially in the bag. They could go scoreless. Well, thank you very much, Maxwell Smart. Yes. All right. Listen.
Pete, actually, they did get it at 65. Cash it, bud.
They did? Excellent. How long did it take?
There's still about 8 minutes and 45 seconds left in the second half.
Wow. See, there you go, and that's an indication when you make a play that, that when you bet a play big, it's okay if it wins by a little bit, but in general, you want to see your bigger plays winning by comfortable margins, just because it indicates that your analysis was right. So not only am I happy to see this cash, 32 points with 9 minutes more to go. Unbelievable. Wow. Thank God. How's the overall total's looking pretty good as well. Awesome.
48 points. Yep.
Awesome. All right. Now I'm in a fucking good mood. Still a little bit overwhelmed by all this tech bullshit here, which is not that complicated. But all right. So let's see. We got about 20 more minutes before the halftime lines come up. Again, I don't know what to think, what to ask you about. Let me just look at these teams and see if there's any team that has come. Well, Northwestern is the most schizophrenic team in college basketball. They were the most schizophrenic team for the first few weeks. I don't know. The Horizon League is always a very interesting league. The Colonial is always very interesting. Those are like mid-major conferences where there are often teams that are great fades or great bet-ons or something. A team that has a great angle on their totals. I don't even know what to ask you. Hofstra was clearly an undervalued team for a while. That game against UCLA where they won, that was a game where it was pretty obvious to a lot of sharp guys that I knew that Hofstra was a great bet. I didn't hear a lot of guys calling for an outright win, but definitely that Hofstra was
Peter,
a play there. Yeah, go ahead.
I was on Hofstra money line live in that game.
No way. Are you serious?
I got a dirty plus money price on that shit.
There you go. Yeah, that was a game that really, in my mind, separated the men from the boys. Anyone who identified Hofstra pregame, again, Hofstra was a 14-point dog to UCLA. They won by 10, won outright, and overall their ATS success has continued. Hofstra is the kind of team that a lot of times when you see me analyzing second half lines, I'll talk about what the halftime numbers say, and what my pregame numbers say. And a team like Hofstra is the kind of team where I'll bet on them second half, even if the halftime numbers are not that strong. A lot of other teams, like an average team, if I want to bet on them on the second half, I really need to see something strong, a reason to do it at halftime. With Hofstra, if the second half numbers are just kind of like whatever, I'm automatically going to be leaning towards betting them on the second half. They continue to cover. They beat Stony Brook and covered in that one. That was a game where I didn't have the guts to pull the trigger on Hofstra's second half, but my instincts told me to do it. I'm wondering, how long is this going to last, Maxwell Smart? How long is Hofstra going to have clear ATS value?
I think Hofstra's going to have clear ATS value until we get into conference season. I think still right now there isn't a lot of respect for them because there's still there's title of, when you think of Hofstra, you only think of Justin Wright Foreman. And without Justin Wright Foreman, most people are going to be like, whoa, how can they be this good now? How can they be this worthy of putting my money on? How many tickets are they going to cash when they're undervalued as a double-digit dog? And just to point out that UCLA game, they opened up as a 10-point dog, and that went up, got seen at the 14 or 15 at close line.
And that, see, there you go. We talk about college basketball line moves all the time. If you bet Hofstra plus 10 and it closed at 14, you might be thinking, wow, I really don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But the way the game turned out, I don't know why all the sharp money that I knew about that was on Hofstra didn't move that line. But, the people that I know who I respect in college basketball all like Hofstra. I don't know why their money didn't bet that down to 8, but that's a perfect example right now. I know the line closed at 14 and opened at 10. But I don't believe that that UCLA at -10 was a sharp play even now. And I know that saying something like that could ruin my career long term. Be like Peter Loshak just said that that the opening line, that beat the closer by 4 points was not a good bet on the opening line. But that's just that's how college basketball line moves are. All right, let's look at the MAAC, right? The MAC. That's always a conference that has interesting stuff. I recently gave a play on St. Peter's plus 4.5 second half. That was a winner. I don't know. Are there any Metro Atlantic teams that have caught your eye one way or the other? Quinnipiac, Marist, Manhattan. Any teams you think might be over or undervalued going forward?
Well, I think that you can't ignore Iona when it comes to betting against some ATS. I think that this team has definitely struggled without Ricky McGill this year. Watched a handful of their games. I think that there's value there, and don't be too trigger happy to be jumping on overs with this team. Definitely not playing with the same kind of efficiency as last year. This is a very interesting conference for me, for Peter, because I have a lot of interest in a lot of these teams. Fairfield, I like for unders. Anything under 137, I'm looking at Fairfield on the under. Marist, they're a team total under team that I look for. They're a team that's going to struggle to score 60 points. Siena with Jalen Pickett, love kid. I think that they're going to be a thundering when it comes to covering spreads.
Yeah, actually, Siena, a lot of people ask me what I think about these teams, and my answer is I can't really remember until I check my spreadsheet. Someone just asked me what I think about DePaul. My answer for now is I don't remember, but once I check my spreadsheet, I will remember. Siena, now I'm remembering. Siena is a team, early on, they were a team that I was looking to bet on second halves, and they covered a bunch of their games, and then they've tailed off just a little bit. I don't remember what. Oh, I don't remember. Yeah, I think I did have them on the second half against their last game against Cal Poly. Yeah, Siena was a team that my numbers indicated were a good play. And I'm not sure how long that is going to continue. And DePaul as well. DePaul was routinely a team, right, year in and year out, just a team that wasn't very good and still overvalued, right? DePaul was one of those teams that was that they maintained their fade value because they were just, they were kind of a big name, but kind of a crappy team, but the market never really caught up with how crappy they were. You'd see a lot of DePaul games, they were like a 14-point dog, and, you would know that really they're worse than that. They should be like an 18, 19-point dog. Year in and year out, that was the case with DePaul. This year, if I remember correctly, my numbers say the exact opposite. DePaul has been an undervalued team this year. Let me just bring up my numbers to make sure that I'm not saying something that's not true. What you have anything to say about DePaul, Max?
Yeah, DePaul's 6-3 ATS on the season.
Right,
I think that the markets have actually caught up to DePaul.
Yeah, you think so? Okay.
That's illustrated by the 15 points that they're laying tomorrow against Illinois, Chicago.
My sense is, though, I got to pull up my friggin' DePaul sheet here, but they're also a team that I had pegged for overs, and I think that might continue even if their spreads get inflated.
Anything over 147 to 149, you're in a good position to get that over.
Yeah,
I think that anything under that, then they're lining it based on the opponent and the opponent being able to shut DePaul down on the perimeter with Jalen Coleman, Lambs, and Charlie Moore.
All right, here's a team, Maxwell Smart. Tell me what you think about this. From the Missouri Valley Conference, right? Missouri State, I know preseason was expected to be a kind of a dominant team. They had very high expectations, and they have a lot of returning starters, a very good program, and they've done okay ATS-wise. I think they're about 50-50. Of course, they're coming off of a big win against Arkansas State, where I believe I don't remember what the hell I took in that second half. I'd have to check my records, but I think I did take Missouri State here. They had a couple of games that were a little bit iffy against Murray State, and they played Xavier great. When conference play starts, I'm assuming the markets are going to price Missouri State. They're going to give them a lot of line respect, but maybe not enough. What do you think about Missouri State going forward?
Yeah, I think Missouri State's going to be overvalued. I've watched Missouri State without Keandre Cook going off. We've seen Tulio Da Silva take a step back this year. Jared Ritter hasn't been in the lineup all year with recovering from the shoulder injury. And Gage Prim, he's been in and out of the lineup with lower body issues. I think that if this team got healthy, got some good on-court continuity and chemistry going, that they would be something to fear. But I think that there's 3 or 4 other teams in the Missouri Valley Conference that are going to just surprise the fuck out of us and hopefully fill our pockets.
Well, that's what we're looking for. That's exactly what we're looking for. Teams that are going to surprise the fuck out of us and fill our pockets. Why didn't you say that when I first asked you that, Maxwell Smart? Here we are, Missouri Valley Conference. Let us know which 3 or 4 teams those are.
So first off, Valparaiso. Valparaiso lost Ryan Fazekas, but I don't think it's going to have any impact. Javon Liberty Freeman is going to be the standout performer that Valparaiso needs. Valparaiso is a proud program. I think that they are going to surprise people. I think that they're going to surprise within the conference because they've been a bottom feeder, and I think that this is one of the most talented, sound offensively shooting teams that Matt Lodich has had. Second,
Okay.
I think that Evansville is going to be Fade City, so we'll move on from that. But I do think that Bradley and Drake are going to continue to have value. I think that Drake, even though they have a different roster, this is a team that still has a lot of offensive potency. They have guys in the front court and Robbins and Sturts that can score in a variety of different ways and get to the line. And then you have Murphy coming back from suspension. I look for him to take over the scoring role and use his size to get to the bucket and cash some tickets.
All right, awesome. This is why we listen to every word you say, Maxwell Smart. This is why you're on this show. So you're vaguely high going forward, long term on Drake, Bradley, and Maxwell Smart, and Valparaiso, and obviously Evansville is a very interesting team, and they beat Kentucky outright, and you knew. After that, they were going to lose 3 or 4 ATS or 4 or 5 ATS, and you're kind of. Do you think that you're down on them even longer term than that?
Yeah, I think that once they get into the conference, I think that their style is going to be really at peril with a lot of MVC teams that will slow it down, really frustrate you, really force you to operate in the half court. And I just don't think that Evansville, under Walter McCarty and really an up-tempo system, that's going to work out for them.
Yeah, I mean, you knew as soon as that's like sports betting 101. Evansville, 24-point dog, upsets Kentucky, and then they're a 6.5-point favorite against Eastern Carolina. Of course, they're going to lose that one ATS. Of course, they did cover 2 out of their last 3. Nice little win against Miami, Ohio. So maybe things will turn around for them, but you don't think so?
No, I personally don't.
Okay.
I think that once you get into conference, it's a completely different year, and what you did in non-conference doesn't mean as much.
Yes, absolutely. All right, okay. Maxwell Smart, you keep track of these of all the rosters, right, Maxwell?
Yeah, I watch all the rosters. I keep my depth charts up to date.
Let me ask you this. Are there any teams right now, preferably, big programs with quality players who are dealing with personnel issues right now that you know of, injuries, suspensions, whatever, and that are probably going to get significantly healthier later on in the season at some point? And if so, that might be a team you might want to look for.
That's a big question with such a
I know, it's open-ended. I'm sorry. The problem is we have 350 college basketball teams here. You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying.
Okay, look, if you can't remember, that's fine. If nothing jumps into your head, that's totally fine.
Well, there's one team but they're not a big team. It's Cal State Northridge.
Okay,
Cal State Northridge is getting Lamine Dion back at the end of the month, and I think that if people aren't aware of it and the odds makers don't update the lines, they're going to have instant underdog value on every game that they play. That guy is such a difference maker.
I will tell people this is one freebie that I look for brackets, right? I'll just shout this out to the world. Anyone who wants to look at it. The 1 year that I did amazingly well in a bracket that I was in, it was the year that Louisville had a ton of injuries in the beginning of the season, but then they got healthier later on. They turned it around, but because of their full season long dealing with injuries, they were like an 11 seed. They're much better than that. They made a deep run that year, and I picked them to go deep, and I did. That was the year that I did really, really well in my bracket that year. That's something I look for in tournament time. I look for teams, preferably, big programs from major conferences that dealt with serious personnel adversity, in December, in January. Then they start to get healthy at the end of the year, start to turn it around a bit, on the court. Those are the kinds of teams that I look for to make unusually deep runs in come tournament time, and that's also something that I look for ATS value possibly as well in the later months of the season. All right, let's see what else we have here. Maxwell Smart. I'm looking around here. Anything else just pop into your head? Anything else that pop into your head about any of these teams? You follow the Ivy League that much, or what?
Yeah, I follow the Ivy League. I think that when it comes to the Ivy League, Yale's a team that we're still going to find value, but unfortunately, everybody knows about them now.
Right, that's a question. Well, everybody knows. Right, their last game went to OT. Right, I'm still betting team total overs though with Yale. I still like team total overs. It might not necessarily be the spread value might evaporate. Yale is covered. Have they even lost ATS? I don't even know.
Yeah, they lost ATS versus UMass. That game, they were the
Right.
4-point favorite.
Right, but their team total still went over. I remember that one, and yeah.
Oh, when you have 4 overtime games, that's gonna fucking benefit every team total.
No, I think their team total went over even in regulation. If I'm unless I'm mistaken. Yeah, but yeah, the first half went to 80 points or something like that. All right, let's see. Let me see what else do we got here. Oh, Utah State. That's an interesting team, right? A very very highly touted team to begin the year, right? They do have some personnel issues, if I'm remembering correctly. You have anything about Utah State?
Yeah, Namus Keita has to obviously come back from injury. I think that he's going to be really important going up against some of like the teams with more size in the Mountain West. But I think that it really comes down to as long as you keep Sam Merrill's ankle healthy and keep him on the floor, he's the kind of guy that's going to win you games. Not necessarily going to probably win games by margin because there's going to be a lot of double-digit favorite lines laid on them. But I think that when it comes to team totals, that's where you're going to find your value. I think that they're a team that starts fast, and I think that first half team totals are the way that I'll be looking at Utah State once conference season starts.
Okay. And then let's just see if you have anything about the SEC. The SEC is always a very interesting and very quirky basketball conference, right? You have teams that sometimes are, inexplicably like way worse than expected one year, way better than expected one year. What do we have to say about the SEC, if anything?
Yeah, I think that the SEC is obviously down this year. I think that there's a lot of value in betting against certain teams in the SEC. I'm going to be looking to bet against Mississippi State. I'm going to be looking to bet against South Carolina. I'm going to be looking to bet against Texas A&M. I think that there's value when it comes to finding unders in this league also, whether it be Florida, whether it be Missouri. These are teams that I see unders. And then I hate to be a square, but I think that Alabama is going to give up a lot of points, but they're going to be able to get up and down the floor with a guy like Kira Lewis. So anything under 148 or 147, I'll be looking to hit overs with Alabama.
All right, we have the halftime lines coming up in a few minutes. 8:41 Eastern time. Maxwell Smart. This is another reason why I'm here. Do you mind just completely taking over the show while I bring up my sheets and bring up everything I need to do some analysis of these second half lines, 3 games?
Yeah, absolutely, Pete. No problem.
Okay, so just answer comments and anything that comes into your mind about any team that might have betting value going forward. Just shout it out.
All right. Well, first off, let's just talk about what's going on right now on the board. We got the Colorado game going on with Colorado State. It's a 24-12 game, 2 minutes and 33 seconds left in the first half. What we're seeing so far from this game is neither team is doing a good job getting to the line. There is definitely a lot of turnovers by Colorado. They already have 10 and 7 for Colorado State. So it's definitely a sloppy game. Teams are really doing a good job of picking each other's pockets, getting on the offensive glass. 3-point shooting is non-existent for Colorado State right now. That's killing Thistlewood. So yeah, Colorado looks like they're going to be able to pour it on. And if you're on the over, I feel sorry for you right now.
Right. That was what I was a little bit worried about. Colorado had not been doing well defensively in their last few games. They were pretty embarrassed about that. And then they come in and there's a rivalry game here. They were like, we should not be this shitty defensively. And I knew that this was going to be that was the one thing that made me very nervous. My numbers said Colorado State has value plus 4.5, but doing my research, I was like, Colorado's going to bring the defense here. I did take the under a little bit as well, and that was just what I was scared about in terms of taking Colorado State. I did it anyway because the numbers told me to, but this is an interesting, yeah, all right, yes, all right, this is interesting. We'll wait. 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first half. We'll wait, and then we'll see what the halftime lines are. But there might be a play on this one. Maxwell Smart, if you don't mind, continue leading the show.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next game that we're going to be looking at is this Nebraska-Indiana game. We got a 35-34 game. I'm going to be losing my play of the day on Indiana like a chump. But regardless, we're here and we're ready to make some money on second halves with Peter Loshak, the Great Pistol Pete. So you
No.
lucky sons of bitches are in this chat watching this man work, and you know what? He's putting money in your pocket every night, and I know because he's done it for me too.
I'm not great, but I will admit the Kennesaw State team total over pick was a great pick. Yes, in that one moment when I posted that, when I hit enter on that tweet, in that second, yes, I was great. All right, go on, Max.
You're being a little modest because you're going to hit the over in the second half also. So I don't want to have to give you a settle down, but we know how good you are. Let's let it show a little bit.
Well, actually, Maxwell Smart, the Indiana-Nebraska game is an interesting one. As I said, when I looked at that game, I said that I liked I kind of liked the over. I think I saw on Twitter that you liked the under. And
I was on the under, yeah.
The total did get bet down. The first half has been very high scoring. Nebraska's just a quirky team with a lot of new faces, and they don't rebound well. They don't, at least up until this game, they don't rebound well. They don't shoot well from the free throw line. But I thought that the Indiana first half and full game team total overs were plays that I was thinking might have some value, as well as Creighton. So maybe this is, let me see, maybe it's not that Indiana played poorly. It's just maybe Nebraska just shot lights out. All right, I'm just going to
Nebraska has shot very well from the field. They've made 14 buckets. That's what's doing it for them right now. And also when it comes to Indiana, they're not shooting the three well. The 3 for 12, that's playing a factor. And both teams have shot well from the free throw line. You have 12 combined free throw makes.
Yeah, all right. I'm not sure if there's going to be a play here. Again, we're doing this show, like I tell you, my second half plays, again, my team totals and my plays rated big and medium big, and any spread between 3 and -3. Those are plays I recommend you tail. But also in general, when I talk about full game team totals for like games the next day, that's also something to keep in mind. Like I said this in other shows. My sides and totals in college basketball right now are just not good enough for me to feel comfortable giving them publicly. But my pregame team totals are good enough for me to feel good enough giving them publicly. And I talked about in the other shows that I might do a Patreon thing where I give out the team totals or something. And this is a perfect example here. Yes, I did like the Indiana first half spread, but in general I like their team totals more. And despite the fact that Nebraska's hanging with them, the team totals look like they're going to be dead on here. And I did mention that in the last show. And then the Creighton game. What do you have to say about that? Let's see what's going on there. Creighton blowing them out. Yeah.
It's 40-22. The team total is going to hit. Both totals have already hit for Indiana Creighton. I had the 38. I had the 39.5 for Creighton. So both those are cashers. I just wish I goddamn gave them out on the show today instead of just hogging them to myself. But Peter, anyways, listen, Creighton's up 16 right now. UTO Grand Valley's having problems scoring the basketball.
Yeah.
This line is around 147 live. It closed around that number. I think that's going to be closer to the opening line, about 139, 140 when all is said and done.
Yeah, this Creighton game, it reminds me a little bit of the West Virginia game. You see these kinds of games all the time, unless the team has very specific tendencies, before the game that they might want to be doing something, in terms of their strategies or personnel in the second half. It's very tough to bet those kinds of games. So it probably is going to be a pass for me. Creighton and the Rio Grande game, as far as the second half is concerned, very similar to the West Virginia game yesterday. And let's see, Indiana, Nebraska, 1 minute 20 seconds. The Colorado game, 30 seconds to go. So the lines aren't up yet, but we'll certainly analyze the hell out of them in about 2 minutes when they come up. So go ahead.
Lines right now, Pete.
Oh, you are?
I'm seeing some second half team totals. Nebraska over 35.5. Indiana over 44.5.
Were you seeing that bet 365?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I also see a plus 8.5 and an over 80.5 for the second half.
Bet 365, great book. Oh, no, I'm violating the first rule of this show. First rule of this show is we don't mention book names unless they fucking pay us. But, I just did it. I don't really use Bet 365 numbers for various reasons.
For juice purposes, yeah.
For a lot of reasons. Not that they're if you can play there, you absolutely should and take advantage of the stuff that they offer. But I'm not seeing anything that's up as of right now. Damn, I just violated the first rule of this show. First rule of this show. That's okay. You violate it. You can't be perfect. You can't be a perfectionist in life, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
I also see second half totals also at said named outlet. Rio Grande Valley over 35.5 minus 110, and Creighton over 41.5 minus 130, with a plus 6.5 on the second half line and over 76.5.
The flip side of that, though, is that if any book does want to pay us, we'll mention your name every fucking 2 minutes. Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah. Hold on. All right. I'm looking. All right. The places that it's just like anything else. Like I use, still to this day, when I'm using, openers and closers, I use Pinnacle. Right. I use Pinnacle. And, it's there's other books that you could use for various reasons that are justifiable, but I use that. All right. Okay. So let's see. All right. I'm seeing Colorado State here. Okay. Yeah, Colorado. Max, can you take over the show while I crunch some of these numbers a little bit?
Yeah. So, Nick, Fat Fist, MMA, you need a live bet. You're fiending. Well, that's the time to not make a bet. If you're fiending for something, go have a goddamn beer. Go have a American cigarette. But yeah, Colorado lines up, Pete. Books. Triggerman's coming in like Colorado's a better team. I think so tonight, bud. I think you're there. Nebraska, Indiana, yeah. Interesting spots. 44.5 is a lot on a team total over in the second half, so it must be indicative of what they're expecting to happen. Deer Slater, Roll Tide Roll, laugh out loud, and yeah, that's all right. You guys can laugh.
Keep it up, Maxwell. Okay, so just the Colorado game. My pregame stuff says take Colorado State on the second half here, big. Halftime lines says pass. So, yeah. What's your take on these teams? Obviously Colorado's a better team, and obviously they came into this game motivated, and especially defensively.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lick of this game, so I've had the Kennesaw State game on this whole time.
How bad is Colorado State? How shitty are they, Maxwell Smart? Just give me your 3-second take.
Colorado State's not as bad as people say. I think that against an opponent that cannot exploit them from the perimeter, they have an advantage, but it all comes down to how aggressive Nico Carvacho is, and so far he has not been aggressive this season.
Yes. Nico Carvacho, not aggressive this season. All right, I'm just going to think a little bit more here. Again, every fucking play. The Kennesaw State play means nothing right now. I'm sitting here agonizing over this once again.
Yeah, but Pete, it hit.
Yeah,
so
I know.
You just put money in my pocket. You just put freaking $180 in my pocket.
Well, my pregame numbers say take Colorado State here, decent size.
I appreciate it.
My halftime numbers say pass on the side.
What about team totals?
Yeah, same deal because the both numbers are say pass on the second half line. I like the full game under a lot, but the second half total of 71 is it's indicating pass on both of them. And in the meantime, wow, money's just coming in on friggin' Colorado. All right, we're going to think about this a little bit more. I'm going to look at Indiana and Indiana minus 9.5 and 81. Okay, Indiana minus 9.5 and 81. Running my shit here.
Oh, okay. I see it going up to 10. I see 10s at Sportsbet.
Pre-game says Indiana small, which that's just what the numbers say. I that makes me nervous, but the pre-game says Indiana small, and on the total, both pre-game and under small.
It's going down -2 to -1 for Colorado. Colorado State, excuse me.
Wow, Jesus! It's just crashing. All the money's coming in on Colorado. Wow. All right, I guess I'm going to have to pass on that one, even though pregame numbers say take Colorado State, halftime numbers say pass, and for Nebraska, go ahead.
Yeah, money's coming also in on Rio Grande. Seen that line go down to 4.5, and it's juiced.
Jesus.
9 for Indiana, down from a 10 in the last a minute and a half.
All right, just keep it up, Maxwell Smart, while I while I look at some other stuff here.
So if you're looking at Indiana, and the best price that I can see, you get a plus 111 at a couple outlets. So do your line shopping. Make sure that you got multiple outs that you can lay these second half plays on, because it's all about getting that best juice, getting that best number.
Yeah.
I try every day not to bet my team, bet the number, bet the odds. Let's keep it up. Pete's already put 2 winners in our pocket already, so make sure you're following him on Twitter. Make sure your notifications on, and shame on me for betting Gardner Webb like a cuck.
Yeah, that was I disagree with that. All right, I don't know what to tell people here. Pre-game said take Colorado State here, -1 plus 105. Wow. Total pass. And Indiana, Nebraska, my numbers say my pregame numbers say take Indiana. Halftime numbers say pass. I don't like that Indiana. That's what my numbers say. And both pregame and halftime numbers say take under 81 small. But I haven't bet it yet, and I don't know if I can make that an official play. What's your take on Indiana in general offensively this year, Maxwell Smart?
Well, I thought that they'd done a good job at scoring at home, and I thought that this would be the game that they would play better defense and would come back down to earth, but I've been completely off on this game.
No, it's just a fast pace. Continue entertaining the folks.
Yeah, when it comes to this under, I'm looking to get on that under 81.5.
Yeah.
I can't get a good enough juice on it for me to bet it right now, but I'm watching and waiting. I got 3 different accounts open right now, and I'm just updating as we go. So
yeah, the total's dropping, which okay.
Yeah, we're down to 80s. I'm seeing 80s and 80s.5.
Please continue to host while I think here.
Yeah, absolutely. No worries,
right,
bro.
That's okay.
Creighton's up by 21. How much more do they put on freaking UT or Grand Valley? Do they cover the second half by 5 points? It's if they're shooting threes the way that they are, Marcus Zagorowski is hot as hell. I think that they could probably cover this 5 points. This reminds me of the West Virginia spot from last night. Mm-hmm. And then with this Colorado State game, I gotta believe that Colorado State's gonna come out with some fucking balls and freaking get this game a little closer. 12 points is just unheard of. It's not a Virginia game, so I'm looking for Colorado State to win this second half outright. And if you can get a nice plus price on it, whether it be the -1 or on the money line, well, I'd be jumping on that.
Keep it up. I just have to think a little bit here. Look at some numbers. Yeah,
when it comes to this Nebraska game, it's really surprising because we talked about how they don't make free throws, but Cam Mack and Hanif Cheatham, both under 60% free throws, and Daishan Burke have all made them so far tonight.
All right, the Creighton game, this is just based on the numbers. Under 77.5, -115 is medium small. Medium small, not a huge play. Again, these fucking plays. I'm like, what am I, like 7-1? I'm 9-1 over my last 10, but there's going to be losers. You have to bet size appropriately. My goal is 53.5%. But the numbers say under 7, small, medium, small, so I'm taking that one. That's an official play, and I bet it. Rio Grande and Creighton under 77.5, -115. Medium, small play there. Go ahead, Max. Thanks.
Yeah, no, getting back to this Creighton game, well, listen, you got to be able to stop a 3-point shot if you're UT Rio Grande Valley, and I don't think that's going to be the case tonight. I think that UT Rio Grande Valley may struggle to score, but it's just a matter of when they're going to call off the dogs and when Coach McDermott brings in the freaking backups. I expect defenses to make adjustments and try and do things a little differently in the second half. And I'm supporting that play on the under. Just hoping that I can get better odds than what I'm seeing right now.
Keep it up, Max.
Yeah, when it comes to Colorado State, I think that you got to anticipate that they're going to be able to pick up the scoring, and they're not going to have a 39-point second half. It's just, do you trust it? And when we're talking about 71 points, it's a bit of a climb, and if you can't get good juice on it, then it's something that you're better off just laying off. And we're seeing this number continue to go down in this Nebraska-Indiana total. We're down to 79.5 at some outlets, and this line wants to go down in this Creighton game also. So I've seen the 76.5 out there, seen the 77.5. So there's lots of different prices depending on where you're freaking laying your action down. And don't forget, guys, there's Prairie View and Loyola Marymount that are starting in an hour. So there is some late night DJ action.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, as people are noticing, I'm making my official plays, but I'm also giving my thoughts on these second half plays. And if you want to bet a thought that I do, by all means, go ahead and do it. It's just when it comes to the actual picks tracking, I'm only going to count the picks that I say are officials, which as of right now is just the Creighton under 77.5 minus 115, medium small. And the Indiana under that I talked about, I didn't make official, so that's not going to be an official play. Colorado State minus a half, minus 105. That would definitely be a strong lean for me, but it's not going to be an official play on these records, and I should probably just be including them all. Wow, the Indiana game's down to 79.5. Holy shit. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, keep it up, Maxwell Smart.
All right, so we also got a bunch of line movement happening in this spread when it comes to Creighton. Now, I'm looking at this 4.5, and I'm looking at this 5, and I'm trying to debate whether or not this is a spot that I'm looking to jump on. It reminds me of the West Virginia spot. It reminds me of some home dominance. This is a Creighton team that has a couple more tune-ups before they go into conference play, go to the gauntlet. That's the Big East. And you know what? Sharpen your claws. Get ready for battle. That's how I look at it. So why take it easy on a team that I believe is paying to play them? So when it comes to Kennesaw State, well, Amir Abdur-Rahim may have changed this team around, may have turned them around. So definitely be aware of that. Kennesaw State was a whooping boy early in the season. They really got some confidence playing against FIU, getting the scoring going, really getting some of the offensive pieces that had been a bit stagnant going. And I made the mistake of doubting them and thinking that I can get away with one more game. Respect the teams that are changing before our very eyes, and hopefully I can get on the right side of the next one, because I definitely was not on the right side of this one tonight.
All right, the line is still up here for Colorado State. I'll make it a small play, minus a half, minus 105. Colorado State minus a half, minus 105. I've been talking about that. I'll put it on my record, and I'll make that one medium small. That's a medium small. I did bet it because I saw that Fat Fist MMA said, "What did Pete just bet?" You had a good eye there, Fat Fist MMA. That was a play that I just bet. Yeah, I'll make that one an official play. It's still up. I'm sorry it's late, but I was talking about it the whole time, so maybe someone tailed it then. Colorado State minus a half, minus 105, medium small play. I don't love it, but the stats, my pregame stats like that one a lot. Halftime stats says pass, so I'm going to take it medium small. Colorado State minus half, minus 105 to go along with the Creighton under 77.5, minus 115, medium small. And then the Indiana under 81, I liked it. I just didn't have the balls to go public with it because of the syndrome that everyone knows I suffer from. And now, of course, it's down to a 79.5 minus 115. Probably should have taken it, and that is going to be all right. We'll see what happens. That's just how this shit goes. I did the same shit with the Wright State under. I gave the team total under, and luckily that one cashed. But I also like the full game. The both teams' second half under as well. That one cashed by like 8 points. My syndrome caused me to not make it official. Hopefully I'll get better at this as the year goes on. But I'm always going to tell you what my numbers say, and I'm always going to tell you what I'm thinking about. Right? So that has some value, right? Right, Maxwell Smart? Right?
Oh, of course. Listen, Pete. Yeah. When you speak and I hear you like a play or debate a play, what I go and do is I go and bet that play.
Yeah,
you know what it is? You're gonna be indecisive about it, but I'm gonna cash it because We do this on another show that I'm on. There's a guy named Sumner. Know what he does? He tails everything one of my guys, Jay the Sports Tech CEO, says. And you know what? He's going to have enough money to put a down payment on a house after this year.
And that's why I got so good at NHL sitting next to Jimmy, because I was like, he's like knee deep in the research, and I'm not doing any research. I'm just listening to him. So I have no emotions one way or the other. I'm just like, I can tell when this guy is like overthinking himself and when he's not. A lot of times, as someone else pointed out here, and I know this myself, tapping the capper can be much more valuable than capping teams. That was like that. The first person I recognized that with was when I used to do videos with Al McMorty. I was like, Al McMorty is good, but what's even better than Al McMorty is my opinion of Al McMorty's opinions. And I just had a great read on his reads on games. I was the same way with Jimmy the Bag with NHL, and maybe people will be like that with college basketball with me. And if so, that's great. But you have to have your process. If I don't say something's official, it doesn't go on the record. If I do, it does. And there you go. So I hope that people found this halftime analysis here of these three games somewhat interesting, somewhat helpful, right? I assume they're all off the board right now, right? Let me see.
Yes,
no, Creighton's still up, but all right. So it was late, but I did bet it, and I did make an official play. Colorado State -app, -105, medium small. Again, that was just because I have two ways of looking at these things, right? I have my pregame advice, and my halftime advice. Ideally, I want them to be strong in the same direction. That happens not that often, but it does happen. Happened with the Boston College game against Albany, and that's when you get a big play. Happened with Maryland against Penn State, and that's when you get a big play. So when that happens, I don't overthink myself. But usually it's a lot more uncertain than that. And you have, a little bit of disagreement, or one, the pregame liking something a lot, and the halftime, just saying pass. That's what Colorado State was. My pregame numbers said Colorado State would be a great play here, and halftime numbers said pass. So I was unsure what to do. Same thing with the Indiana total. Pregame said under. Halftime said pass. So I just passed on that one, and that's how this stuff goes. But once again, it's not just that I'm gonna give you picks, track them, and then you can tail them. I'm also gonna give you my thought process, tell you what the various numbers are telling me, and then you can act accordingly, or you can just sit back and observe. Right, Maxwell Smart?
Damn straight, Pete. That's what you do. That's what we're gonna do.
All right. Ramon Scott. Remember what Billy Walters said? I handicap the handicappers. Absolutely. I mean, Billy Walters, that was his approach. I mean, he was just like, I'm just going to find the smart guys and hire them. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing you can do. You can just not handicap them, just hire them. You know what I mean? Absolutely. But yes, and it's not just that it takes less work to handicap the handicappers. It's usually a lot more valuable. You know what I mean? You can really understand things.
And it's also easier to track.
Yes, yeah, definitely. All right, let me see. Let's see. All right, is that it? Are we done here?
Yeah, I believe so. Unless you're looking to make any live bets.
No. Okay, that's it. 9:07 Eastern time. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This is a little bit of a unique show because we had a new format, a guest, and all sorts of multiple tweets and stuff. So thanks for bearing with us with whatever glitches there were, with whatever 5 or 10 seconds of confusion I displayed on camera. But overall, I think it was a pretty good show. A few laughs, a few opinions, a few picks, right? A few old faces, a few new faces, right? One other thing. You have any final words, Maxwell Smart, before we wrap this up?
Just when you're going to dip a chicken tender in something, make sure that it's honey and don't dip it in barbecue sauce.
I'll make up a psychiatric syndrome for you related to your issue with chicken tenders. I'll figure out what that is, and I'll give it a name, and I'll tell you what it is when I figure it out, Maxwell Smart. All right, so for now, I'm just going to be doing this weeknights. My process for the weekends is I usually handicap some games pregame, but mostly I ignore pregame handicapping and then look at things second half. I do bet some second half stuff on Saturdays and Sundays, but it's a lot less regimented, and I kind of just look at things and run my numbers as I feel like it, and then but that might change during later on, and who knows what's going to happen in January. The entire global industrial capitalist system might not even be here in January. Who the hell? You know what I'm saying? But I'll for sure as hell be back Monday and we'll do this all again over the weekend. I'm also going to figure out what my record was this week specifically, and I'll probably try to make a graphic every weekend to post it up to update people on the records, to let people know what the record was from the previous week and cumulatively. So look for that this weekend. I'll do that, and that's it. What are you going to do, Maxwell Smart?
I'm going to hopefully try and dig myself out of the hole that I dug myself tonight and make money, because that's all that I'm ready to do. I love it. It loves me, and it's going to come back to me.
All right. Maxwell Smart, thank you so much for co-hosting this show with me. I'll be back doing this again on Monday. I'm sure we'll see Maxwell Smart at least in the comments section in future shows. See you Monday.
All right. Take care.